Hello everybody, welcome back to Exploring the Black Country by the Midlands Outdoors. Back with another video today, heading to somewhere quite interesting which I want to tell you a bit of history and information on. So we're heading through Netherton Tunnel, which you've already seen the tunnel, down to where the BCN main line is, but this time we're not turning right, we're turning left towards I think it's Dudley Port. I will show you where I'm going to be heading. It's another section of canal line. I think it's still the Birmingham Canal, which is going to be quite interesting. So we'll head down there, go and check out Dudley Port, and we may come down to there where the Dudley Tunnel section is, which you've seen before. Now there is a bit of section off, which I think is still the canal line there. We're going to have a take a look, see if there's any history down there at all. Well, let's dig into the video. Let's go and check out what this has to offer for us today. So right, just to recap, I will quickly show you this one more time, just for the new people that are watching this video. So this very dark long tunnel, what I'm going through, just down to there, look, goes about 1.7 mile all the way to the Tipton section where it comes out to the aqueduct at the bottom, then to the BCN main line. Now this was actually constructed in 1855. I believe it opened somewhere in 1856, I believe, or 7. I know it took over a year to complete this. It was all constructed by hand. You imagine many men working down here, several shafts on the ceiling, and there was about 17 injuries, I believe, and some of them actually were killed during the construction of Netherton Tunnel, so there is quite a bit of history behind it. And with the paths along here, why they've got these long paths, was when back in them days they was allowed for the horses to drag the barges all the way through, so the horses get to the bottom, because there is markers on the wall, them like chain markers when the horses were used down the canal line. Got several numbers on there. It is really quite interesting, so go and check out Exploring the Black Country, Netherton Tunnel. You will.
Just as shaft number 10.
Shaft number 10.
There were more than the 7 that are open now.
Yeah, because I think
there was definitely, I think,
19. I've heard there was 19.
If the horses came one side and the other,
Yeah.
like one horse could get into this offhole,
Oh, right.
out the way,
Yeah.
and then the other one, and drop his rope,
Yeah.
and then the other boat, the horse and the other boat would just go over.
Yeah.
Because it was never like a lot of canals, it's
Yeah.
like sort of one side to one direction or the other side. This was never, you could go on either side in either
Yeah.
direction.
So right, I've learnt something new for Netherton Tunnel. Nice old lady come down, seen her down here before, telling me a bit about the history. Lovely chat. And what she was mentioning was quite interesting, was the ceiling, how you've got the air shafts. Now there used to be, I think it was about 17 or 19 air shafts with Netherton Tunnel. They filled some of them in, but they left so many at the moment to give air through the tunnel. So that is really quite an interesting one. So if you never knew that, there used to actually be more air shafts down into here. Now the arches in the wall, which I didn't mention in my last video because I wondered what there was actually for, she just mentioned that horses were back up into the side of the wall to allow another horse to come past, to allow another barge to come down. That is really quite interesting, so I've actually learnt some quite new things today, as well as telling you guys about it. That is really quite amazing. So you can just see how much history is down Netherton Tunnel. It's really quite amazing. So right, here's the next canal section where we're going to be heading up. And as you may know, this actually used to be to power Netherton Tunnel many years ago, and I know it used to be like a building at the back just onto that corner. I did see an old photo of this, and you got some sections there, and where that wall is onto that corner used to be like a door entrance what goes right the way in. Now into there would have been some sort of like system, but it's make you wonder what is actually in that section just right there, which is quite interesting. But it's very old. You can just imagine how far this dates back to when they actually lit up Netherton Tunnel itself. But yeah, let's go and find a way to get to the top. I think we've got to go over Groveland Bridge, which is right at the bottom. But if I can zoom in, you can actually see there is a boat down there loading coal, loading some gas stuff up, and you can imagine that the canal is still being used today for transportation of goods, which is quite amazing actually. But yeah, I mean, like the Black Country days, I used to like transport goods across the canal line. There isn't actually many today that actually takes goods all across the canal. I mean, many factories it's all by lorry today. But it's amazing to see that company is actually still doing it by boat, which is really quite amazing, to see that. It ties in with the history of when they used to do it. Imagine the horses dragging that boat along with all the goods in. It's just really fascinating history, guys. I love it. Yeah, I thought so. It said something Clayton on the side, and I'm actually loading coal onto the boat, like how they would have done it many years ago, but we're just out the horses. You can just see quite a lot of coal being loaded on, look. Thought I might show you that because it is quite interesting to see them doing it by barge. So right, I believe we're actually here. This is actually the back end of Dudley Port, and I'll come up right now any minute. So there is quite a lot of history down here, so excuse the wind because it has got to be really windy today. I wasn't expecting it to be like this, but yeah, I will get round to the bridge and I will tell you a bit of history about the port itself in general. It is quite interesting. So I know you guys love your history and you find some of it really fascinating, but you do learn something new when going over history. So Tipton was mentioned in the Doomsday Survey of 1086. Wow, what the date of that? It's amazing. As Tibbington being held by William with land for 5 ploughs. The name became Tibbington and eventually Tipton. That is really quite interesting, I never knew that. However, between 1151 and 1723, there appear 22 variations of the spelling. In 1294, it was referred to as Stibington. Oh well. So it says here, the ancient parish church of Tipton is St John's, originally St Martin's, in Upper Church Lane, which is thought to date from the 13th to 14th century, but was completely rebuilt in the 17th and 19th centuries. And its tower has a sundial which is inscribed. This steeple was built to Mini 1683, John Nightingale, William Clare and church wardens. The church was closed in 1794 because of damage caused by a storm and mining subsidence. You imagine Tipton, Dudley, there would have been a lot of coal mines around because we are at the heart of the Black Country mainly. And you imagine all the factories going, coal mines. Those days would have been quite interesting to see when all the smoke was about. People was working as hard as they could to feed the families, get the money in. It's just absolutely amazing. So it says there, during the Civil War, Edward Dudley of Tipton, Green Hall, lent money to advance in the parliamentary cause and receive a commission to raise troops in Staffordshire. In June 1644, the parliamentary forces attacked Dudley Castle, and their interception of royalist reinforcements resulted in the Battle of Tipton Green. Wow, that's some really fascinating history here. In 1712, the world's first successful steam pumping engine was erected at the Conagry Coal Works by Thomas Newcomen, and full-size replica of the engine has been built nearby at the Black Country Museum. The first commercial steam engine designed by James Watt was purchased by Messrs Bentley & Co and put to work pumping water from their Bloomfield colliery in 1776. A lot of information about coal mines. So what I'm looking down now, it says here, the Birmingham Canal arrived in Tipton in 1770, and over the next 50 years the town became the centre of a dense network with over 13 miles of navigable waterways within its boundaries. This led to Tipton being known as the Venice of the Midlands. At the nearest point to the Dudley on the original Birmingham Canal, warehouses and wharves sprung up and became known as Dudley Port, later becoming Dudley Port, which it says there. So there is a bit of information here. This is around 1780, James Keir, the mighty chemist and member of the Lunar Society, established the chemical works at Bloomfield, where he made alkali, soap and lead compounds for the Starbridge glass industry. He also invented a gold coloured metal, a compound of copper, zinc and iron for making metal sashes for windows, some of which were installed in Windsor Castle. Factory Road, and was originally Soap Factory Road, is a reminder of his venture. I mean, so far, I've actually mentioned quite a lot of interesting information around this area, so you can just see how much was going on back in them days. So I'm just looking down, there is quite a lot of more information here. So yeah, I thought I might mention this one because this one is quite interesting. If you want to read more about it, I will drop some links in, because I'm sure somebody told me about this quite a while ago up at a church near Merryhill. The church on top of a hill, and a woman was telling me about this disease. Bear with me one moment. It does say here, in the 19th century the health and sanitary conditions in Tipton were dreadful. The town was hit by the great cholera epidemic in 1832, when there were 1,452 cases of the disease, resulting in 404 deaths. Now, somebody did tell me about that going back way back a bit, so that is really quite interesting. So yeah, more interesting information. This is actually related to the local area in World War II. In the early hours of the 17th of May 1941, an air raid destroyed the Tipton Tavern and New Road Methodist Church, Great Bridge, killing 6 people. So it says in 1947, 2 concrete cooling towers were constructed at Ocker Hill Power Station, with the third being added in 1956. There's just so much interesting information. I could just keep reading this. It goes on, and it says there, Dudley Port Low Level Station closed on the 6th of July 1964. And it says there about stuff about gasworks. The new Tipton gasworks went into production in 1965, making gas from naphtha fuel. The advent of natural gas from the North Sea resulted in its closure in 1975. I'm going to drop a link in the description so you can read half of it. It is just really interesting. There's so much, and I can imagine, I think there was actually factories on Dudley Port. I could be wrong, I could be right. I did read it somewhere. I don't know if it was a munitions factory, whether it was something else. But imagine what was here back in the past when they used to get all the barges down here. Maybe it was the low goods, maybe it might be right. But let's go and take a look at Dudley Port. Let's go and see what it actually looks like and what it is today. So yeah, I have really no idea what this even looks like, but I think it's an housing estate at the minute, and there's like a big basin that surrounds the housing estate by the sides, so it is going to be quite interesting to see. So I think it's not too far, but you can just see, if I zoom in, you can actually see a bit of the new housing estate today just onto Dudley Port. Let's go a bit further down. Really nice new houses actually. Didn't expect these to even be here by the canal. You'd imagine it would have been factory. You see a housing estate on this side, full of wildlife, coots, moorhens and swans, like all them, full of it. But that's actually the section which now goes into like a loading wharf. I think that's actually like a loading wharf over there, like a little basin. So you could imagine there would have been probably a factory. If you guys do know more information about what would have been here, if I am correct, then drop it into the comments again. I am really interested to know what was on Dudley Port myself, but I'm sure I read it somewhere that it definitely was a factory. Oh well, lovely to see the swans. Look at the swans, full of wildlife. Excuse the wind guys, it is really getting terrible at the minute. And you can just see there, look how much more wildlife there is. It's just absolutely surrounding. But yeah, I've heard of something quite terrible at the moment as well, what's going around, the avian flu. I think it's around some of the parks in Starbridge. A lot of water birds are dying, and it is quite a shame really. I was reading it somewhere about it. Hopefully it gets eventually sorted, or it ends up disappearing, because it will eventually kill off quite a lot of wildlife on the pools. And I don't know if it's reached the canals yet. I have really no idea, so I would advise you guys not to touch any water birds at all. So right, let's go and check out what's to offer down this canal section. I've never been down it, so it is definitely worth a look. I think it ventures off down by the side of where the Dudley Tunnel goes and the Black Country Museum. Then it will turn off onto the right. You can go to Cosley, you can end up to some other sections down that canal line. It goes so far. I've never done it, but I think I have done the Cosley section, but I've never done this bit here, so let's go and check it out. yeah, coming down, the canal's changed. It's gone from housing estate to a bit more of like wooded areas now, which I've never really seen parts of this actually. Let's turn around, I will show you. So I believe this is actually still the Birmingham Canal. You see there, a lot of wildlife over in the trees in the distance. It's gone a bit wooded now, look. Really lovely. So I don't know how far this goes down to the bottom, but I do know it should junction off to another basin part where it splits off into the two sections. And on the left you've got the bit what goes all the way to the Black Country Museum. I think I might be going that way actually. So we'll go and take a look at that in a bit. But wow, look at that. Oh wow, make a wonder what's above there. Is that actually a railway track? There's a railway bridge there. Are they actually doing something and building something there, look? Or is that actually what they're building now for the tram? That is quite interesting. Demolition in progress. I'm gonna have a look what the bridge is like. 'Cause to me it looks like it was some sort of like train bridge. I think it could be for the tram. Yeah guys, this would have probably been like for the an old train, what might have come all the way over, I could be right. But they am building the tram at a minute, which is going all the way to, where was it going now? It's coming from Dudley. It's being extended to somewhere. I'm going to have a look in a minute, I will tell you more about what's actually going on with that. But look at that there is like really old stuff. You've got an old wall there with a hole in it. So whatever these are actually for, I've seen numerous of these down the canal line. So let me know what you think these are. That is really quite interesting. But look at that, really old wall. Alright, let's actually see what's actually going on. I am interested because you can imagine the old line what went through there and went through the old Dudley Tunnel. I think this is actually what links into it, I could be right. But it says here, in March 2019, the West Midlands Combined Authority gave the final go-ahead for the cash to finance the Wrensbury to Brawley Hill. I thought it was Brawley Hill because it does go across the old Parkhead Junction. So you've got the rail link there. So the Wrensbury to Brawley Hill extension will be enhanced public transport, accessibility across the Black Country as a whole, and will provide links to the existing national rail network and proposed HS2 network. It will provide reductions to journey times between the strategic centres of the region, particularly to Dudley Town Centre and Merry Hill. Oh well. So it says there, the 11 kilometre line will run along the part of the former South Staffordshire Railway. So you've got the South Staffordshire Rail line. So that is actually a route that I do want to walk from Himley Hall. We're going to be covering that, so I'll be another Black Country episode in 2023, I believe. So we are going to be heading back out, extending more over this topic of exploring the Black Country. So we've got more to cover, more to look at. And hopefully next year we will be doing some barge trips, a 6-hour trip across the whole canal network, down from like where the Netherton tunnel is, Dudley tunnel, through the limestone mines, covering quite a lot. So hopefully we get to do that, so that's going to be an interesting one. So it is quite an interesting thing, that's how I've learnt you what's going on with this at the minute. So I mean, just taking a break and looking down, so if I just pan around, I think there is more houses coming down there. So the linking does go right to the bottom, so we've still got further to go. So I'm wondering if I'm not too far from where it turns left and right. So let's go and journey down and see where we end up. I don't know if you had to see it, but someone's actually built a clock on the wall and it says onto there, time flies. But I'll tell you what, time does fly. I mean, filming this, going through Netherton tunnel, I can't believe it's like nearly 11 o'clock already. And I set out for like about 9. Absolutely crazy. So where has the time gone? That's absolutely insane. So right, Pitchfork Bridge, I think I remember that off someone's video that I've watched a while ago. So I don't think we're too far from the split off sections now. Come up to some more housing estates. Ain't the best of scenery, so I think I'll meet you at the fork where it branches up. So right, I think we've come to the section which branches off. Now I wanted to turn left, which is going to be a big problem because we can't go over that side. Oh dear. So I think we have come in the wrong section. Got a dog now onto that corner chasing me down. But yeah, I was meant to go over there, so I might have to turn back around, I think. So I didn't want to go down this section down here. Where does that even go to there? Starbridge Canal via Dudley Tunnel. That's the bit I want to get to. That's interesting. Look at that. But you think though, Starbridge Canal via the Dudley Tunnel. It's a shame you can't walk the Dudley Tunnel really, because you could get to the other side. But yeah, it's down there, so we've got to now go back through Pitchfork Bridge and somehow now get over that side and get onto that side of the canal. But a lot of industry down here, look at this. We've come to that like split off section, so I thought it was a basin, but it does like widen off a little bit, look. But that goes to Wolverhampton, so you will end up at Cozy Tunnel, back down the main BCN main line. But we want to get down there, so let's go and check it out. So right, the wind is picking up now because this afternoon, oh, that really scared me then. So the wind's got to pick up. We've got rain at 2 o'clock, I've heard, so Jules has just texted me. So where I'm heading, so I'm going to try and get to the wren's nest from there, just to go and have another look down to the bottom. But it's going to see how long it takes on bike to get to the wren's nest. It's gone cold and windy at a minute, so we'll see you over the other side. Right, I've got to now drag my bike along Pitchfork Bridge, which is right here, which links onto that other side. So let's get my bike over. Oh, these steps there, look at these. I mean, the weight of this bike is just really heavy. Right, we've done it. There we go. That dog is still barking down there. So right, we've got a sign here, so I don't think we're too far from the Dudley Tunnel where the Black Country Museum comes out, but it does say there all passages through Dudley Tunnel must be booked with the Dudley Canal Trust. I might actually note that number, because I will call them and to see if I can actually do a private tour, but they might not do it, so I might have to do the paid one. So there is things at the bottom. It's the Starbridge and Staffordshire and Worcestershire Canal. So you imagine how much distance that is from here, because you've got to go all the way through the limestone mines, the Dudley Tunnel. It's quite a bit of a branch off then to Netherton Tunnel. It's quite a bit far, so the quickest way to get to Netherton Tunnel was pretty much behind us. So well, Dudley Road Bridge now, just onto this corner. Don't think this bridge is really old, because you tell the way it's actually made. It looks sort of like newer concrete. So yeah, this is actually now classed as the Dudley Canal and Caverns, which is right up there, look at that. And then you've got the Dudley Tunnel, which links into the limestone mines. I did cover a video on that and exploring the Black Country, so go back to my previous videos, you will see the tour going right the way through. You will love it, it's really interesting. It's actually one of my favourite things I've done to date, is the Dudley Canal and Tunnel. But yeah, definitely go and book yourself a ticket and explore it, because you're going to miss out on that if you've never done it. It's definitely worth it if you're into your mines and stuff, because it's the only mine what is accessible from the... There is nothing around the wren's nest. I've had a look, you can't get into any old mines like the Seven Sisters. So basically the Singing Cavern is the only mine you can access to date. So yeah, I thought I would go back over this one more time for you, means I'm here. So Dudley Tunnel is a canal tunnel on the Dudley line number 1. So it's about 3,172 yards, and it's now the second longest canal tunnel on the UK canal network today. So I think that's pretty much why a lot of people come down here to check it out, because it's one of actually the longest. So it says here, Stand Edge Tunnel is the longest at 5,456 yards, and the 3,931 yards, it says the Hyam and Strood Tunnel is now rail only. You can imagine back in the old days, I mean, I think it's at Lapper Tunnel, that would have gone pretty far into the other side, so that would have been quite a long one, but it's now gone, so that is basically off the list. But that is really interesting, go and check out the video for that. So right, I don't know where I've ended up, but I've kept riding across some streets. I didn't want to do the wren's nest because the weather looks like it's going to take a turn, it has gone dark, but just by the side of me I spotted a nice old church, and that is really old. From the back of it, it looks really lovely, but the gates are closed. I don't know if I'll be able to zoom in to show you, but look at this. But literally right about there, there's like dragons or something. It looks like a gargoyle or a dragon spiking from where the bell tower is on the side, so that is really quite interesting. But look how old that is. That's got to be dating back to the 1800s. You look at the patterns up there as well. Look at that. And there we've got some like lovely patterns where the door goes in, look. It's really quite cool. Nice building to take a look at, but I'm going to go back the way I come, I think, and get back on track. So right, that's about it for today. I am absolutely freezing, guys. I could have done more today, but the weather's just took a turn. My hands have gone really ice cold. I don't know what temperature it is. It's got to be like below 9 or 8. It just feels really chilly. Because I did say we got cold blasts coming and high winds, rain later. But yeah, to the next video, because I am going to get back out more exploring the Black Country on the way. I think the next one I'm probably going to try and head out and do is a train line in Haldane. So if you are interested in that kind of thing, then head over to that video next one to do that one, because it is quite really interesting. A lot of history, and I will go and take a look, see if I can find some interesting things for you. But until the meantime, enjoy the rest of the cinematics that I have for you at the end of the video now, and see you soon in the next episode of Exploring the Black Country. See you later, guys.